Alex was having one of those ordinary Thursdays that make you question all of your life choices. The kind of Thursday where the coffee machine in the office breaks, your inbox floods with 40 unread emails, and someone in the corner insists on playing Eye of the Tiger on their laptop speakers at full volume. He rubbed his temples, trying to survive the chaos when his phone buzzed. A text from Emma. "Hey. Random idea, want to crash at my place this weekend? I'm having a mini friend gathering. Food, drinks, chaos, you know the usual. Only one room left, though winking face." Alex stared at the message like it had personally insulted him. Only one room left? His brain immediately ran through 100 scenarios, some cute, some terrifying, all of which involved him either sleeping on a tiny fold-out bed or accidentally walking into a disaster. He typed and deleted a response 3 times. Finally, he settled on. "Sure, sounds fun. See you Saturday." Instant regret. Why did he say yes? He had liked Emma for ages. She was smart, funny, effortlessly charming, and somehow managed to make even the most mundane coffee run seem like an adventure. And now he was agreeing to spend a weekend in her apartment, potentially alone in the living room, while she took the one-bedroom. Saturday came faster than he expected. His cab wove through the streets of New York City, and his stomach knotted every time he thought about what awaited him. Emma's apartment was in a charming old brownstone, small, cozy, with a fire escape that looked like it had survived 100 rainy winters. He buzzed her apartment. "Coming," she called, and the door swung open before he could even knock. Emma looked exactly as he remembered, bright eyes, a mischievous smile, hair casually messy in that "I woke up like this" way that somehow made his heart skip a beat. "Hey," she said. "Glad you made it. Quick warning. There's only one room left, so the sofa is all yours." Alex's stomach did a slow, dramatic somersault. Sofa, got it. Totally, sofa. His brain refused to form any other coherent sentence. "You'll be fine," she said, smiling as she bustled past him into the kitchen. "Dinner's almost ready." Alex wheeled his suitcase in, trying to play it cool, but the apartment was even smaller than he imagined. There was barely room for 2 people, let alone a gathering of friends. The sofa he was destined to claim was a modest, slightly worn thing in the corner of the living room. Not exactly luxurious, but it would have to do. Emma returned with a tray of snacks and a glass of wine. "Here. You look like you need this." Alex accepted it with trembling hands. "Thanks, for the invitation. And the wine. And the sofa." She laughed, a sound that made his nerves dance even more chaotically. "Relax, Alex. It's going to be fun. You'll survive." And somehow, against all odds, he believed her, though his imagination refused to stop picturing him accidentally falling asleep on the sofa while she enjoyed the bedroom in perfect comfort, potentially laughing at his clumsy existence. The rest of the evening blurred into laughter, spilled wine, and playful banter. Emma cooked pasta while Alex chopped vegetables, each moment more awkward than the last but undeniably fun. At one point, Emma smirked at him. "Careful with that knife, Alex. I'd hate to have to call 911 this early in the night." "I'm a professional," he said, trying to sound confident but nearly slicing his finger instead. "You're something," she said, shaking her head with a grin. By the time dinner was done, the apartment smelled like garlic, tomato sauce, and something dangerously close to happiness. Alex found himself leaning against the counter, laughing at Emma's jokes, and realizing just how much he enjoyed being around her. And then, the moment of truth. Emma stretched and yawned. "Well, I guess I'll take the bed now. You know, since there's only one room left." Alex swallowed. "Right, the sofa. Of course. I can totally sleep on the sofa." As Emma disappeared into the bedroom, he couldn't help but glance at the door. His heart pounded like a drum. This was going to be a long, awkward, and, he admitted it, exciting weekend. Alex dragged his suitcase to the corner, giving the sofa a half-hearted glance. Well. Here we go, he muttered to himself, sinking into the cushions as if preparing for battle. The living room was cozy. Warm light spilled from a standing lamp, throwing soft shadows across Emma's collection of quirky framed art, some abstract, some her own photography. A faint aroma of basil and garlic still lingered from dinner prep. He took a deep breath, trying to relax. Emma emerged from the bedroom wearing a comfy oversized hoodie and pajama pants, her hair loosely tied back. She waved a wooden spoon in his direction like a magic wand. "Dinner's ready." "Well, technically, it's still cooking, but I need a taste tester." Alex perked up, suddenly aware that he was the taste tester. "I volunteer," he said, standing and doing his best to look casual, though his heart was doing something he suspected might be visible in his chest. They stood side by side in the tiny kitchen, tasting sauces and stealing glances at each other under the pretense of discussing seasoning. Needs more salt," Alex said, sprinkling a pinch into the pan. "Or maybe you just need to stop tasting everything and let me cook," Emma teased, nudging him lightly with her elbow. Alex chuckled, almost spilling a bit of sauce on himself. "Right. I'm clearly the worst sous chef ever." "You're entertaining," she said, smirking. Entertaining," he stammered. "I'll take it." They moved around each other in a rhythm that felt oddly natural. Emma reached over to grab a jar of Parmesan, brushing her hand against his. Alex froze for a moment, then tried to act casual while internally screaming. "Relax, Alex," she said, noticing his wide-eyed expression. "It's just cheese." "Right, just cheese," he muttered, trying to convince his racing heart that this was entirely normal. Once dinner was finally ready, they carried plates over to the small living room table, sitting across from each other. Alex couldn't help but notice how warm her smile was in the soft lamplight, the way she laughed when he cracked a joke about his cooking disaster, and the occasional playful glance she threw in his direction. As they ate, Emma leaned back, stretching dramatically. "You know, you're surprisingly competent at this," she said. "Surprisingly competent?" Alex repeated, choking slightly on his pasta. "Yeah. I expected to find burnt garlic on the counter or a small fire by now," she said with a grin. "I didn't start a fire," he said, waving a hand defensively. "You came close," she laughed, leaning back in her chair. After dinner, Emma suggested they watch a movie. Alex grabbed a blanket, ready to claim the sofa as his fortress of awkward solitude, when Emma plopped down next to him. "Don't get too comfortable," she said, elbowing him lightly. "I might steal half your blanket." Alex stiffened for a second, then laughed nervously. "Fair enough, just as long as you don't steal my dignity too." The movie began, but neither of them really paid attention. They kept laughing at small lines, teasing each other, and occasionally brushing hands. Every accidental touch sent a little spark through Alex, though he tried to act like it was normal. At one point, Emma rested her head on the arm of the sofa near him. "Is it weird if I get cozy?" "It's cold tonight," she asked. Alex's brain immediately short-circuited. "Cozy? Cold? You're resting your head near me?" No, not weird at all," he said, voice a little too high. He shifted slightly, careful not to appear too eager, but secretly thrilled. They shared small talk, laughter, and silence that felt comfortable rather than awkward. Alex realized that despite the cramped space, the awkward sofa, and his nervousness, he was having one of the best nights he could remember. Emma glanced at him suddenly, smirking. "You're staring." Alex looked away quickly, pretending to examine the movie screen. "I'm, admiring the cinematography." Emma raised an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. Sure you are. As the night went on, the apartment grew quieter. Emma eventually yawned and stretched, glancing at him. I guess I should try to get some sleep. You're, not too uncomfortable on the sofa, right? Totally fine, Alex said, though every fiber of him screamed otherwise. Perfectly, fine. Emma smiled warmly. Good. Sleep tight, Alex. She disappeared into the bedroom, leaving him alone on the sofa, alone, but not really. Somehow, the warmth of her presence lingered, making the sofa feel less like a makeshift bed and more like the start of something exciting. As he lay down, staring at the ceiling, Alex couldn't stop thinking about the way she smiled, the way her elbow brushed his, the sound of her laughter. The sofa might have been hard, the room small, but his heart. Well, his heart felt strangely full. Alex had finally settled into the sofa, thinking he could survive the night. The blanket Emma had teased him with earlier now covered him snugly, and he had just begun to relax when he heard a faint knock at the door. Who on earth, at this hour? Before he could even process, Emma's voice floated from the bedroom. I'm not expecting anyone. Should I check? No, I've got this, Alex said, suddenly feeling heroic. He tried to sound confident as he got up and opened the door. It was one of Emma's friends, Tara. She looked frazzled, holding a bag of groceries. Hey. Sorry to drop by late. I forgot a few things for the dinner tomorrow. Hope it's okay. Alex's mind went blank. Late? Groceries? Dinner tomorrow? He stumbled over his words. Sure, come in. I mean, Emma's, she's expecting you. Tara gave him a puzzled look but stepped in anyway, setting her groceries on the counter. Oh, hi, you must be Alex. Emma mentioned you might crash here. Alex froze. She knows my name? Meanwhile, Emma emerged from the bedroom, looking slightly amused. Hey. You're here early. I mean, late, whatever. Come on in. Alex tried to stay composed, but every step he took seemed to betray him. He tripped over the rug, narrowly avoiding a spill of Tara's salad ingredients, and nearly knocked over a vase. Careful. Emma called, suppressing a laugh. You'll survive. I think. Alex gave her a nervous smile, brushing imaginary dust off his hoodie. Tara, oblivious to the internal chaos, laughed. You're funny. Don't worry about it. The night went from awkward to chaotic. Tara began unpacking groceries, and Alex's attempts to help only resulted in more spills and clumsy encounters. At one point, he accidentally bumped into Emma while trying to dodge a rolling apple. Oh my gosh! Emma exclaimed, laughing. You're like a human bowling ball. I try my best, Alex said, cheeks heating. Despite the mishaps, the three of them managed to laugh through it. Emma's teasing glances at Alex were frequent, making him even more nervous, and secretly delighted. At one point, Tara pulled out a bottle of wine. Alex, you want a glass? You've clearly earned it with your, acrobatics. Alex hesitated. Sure, if it won't, destroy anything else. Emma laughed, shaking her head. Don't worry, Alex. I've seen worse. The three sat together on the couch, wine glasses in hand, chatting and joking. Alex found himself stealing glances at Emma, noticing the way her hair fell across her face and the sparkle in her eyes when she laughed. His heart raced, and he nearly choked on his wine when she brushed her hand against his casually. Later, Tara finally left, waving goodbye. Thanks for letting me crash here for a bit. See you tomorrow. As the door clicked shut, the apartment felt quiet again. Alex slumped back on the sofa, relief washing over him. Emma appeared in the doorway, holding a mug of tea. You survived, she said with a smirk. Barely. Yes, survived, Alex said, grinning sheepishly. She sat down next to him, careful to keep a comfortable distance. I have to admit, you handled that chaos better than I expected. Better than expected? Alex repeated, trying to sound casual while his chest felt like it was about to explode. Emma laughed softly. You're cute when you panic. Alex's face turned bright red. Thanks. I think. Emma leaned back, stretching, and then glanced at him with a teasing smile. You know, the sofa might not be so bad after all. Alex's stomach did another somersault. Right, sofa, totally fine. For the rest of the night, they settled into a comfortable rhythm, sipping tea, sharing stories, and occasionally bumping into each other. The romantic tension was palpable, but it was all underlined by humor, warmth, and that electric feeling that comes from being close to someone you like. As Alex lay back on the sofa later, staring at the ceiling, he realized something. He didn't care about the awkwardness, the tripping, or the chaos. Being there, near Emma, even on a tiny, lumpy sofa, was worth every flustered moment. The apartment was quiet now. Tara had gone, the kitchen was tidy, and the soft hum of the city outside drifted through the slightly open window. The lamp cast a warm glow across the living room, making the sofa where Alex sat feel a little less like a temporary bed and more like a cozy refuge. Emma appeared in the doorway, holding 2 mugs of steaming tea. I thought you might want something warm before bed, she said, offering one to Alex. Thanks, he murmured, taking the mug. He wrapped his hands around it, savoring the heat. You didn't have to. I did, she said simply, with that easy confidence he had always admired. She settled on the floor, leaning against the sofa, her legs tucked under her. So, how's the sofa treating you? Surprisingly supportive, he replied, though his eyes kept darting to her. Better than I imagined. She chuckled. Good. I'd hate to be responsible for your first night being miserable. There was a pause. Alex sipped his tea, then finally decided to take a leap. Emma, can I ask you something? Sure, she said, tilting her head, curiosity lighting her eyes. Why? Do you do all this? Invite people over, host gatherings, you always seem so happy on the outside, but I feel like there's more going on beneath the surface. Emma's gaze softened. She stared into her mug for a moment, then looked at him, honestly. You notice that, huh? Most people just assume I don't know, carefree, outgoing, fun. And yeah, I am. But sometimes I get lonely. I don't show it often, but I feel it. Alex felt a pang in his chest. He never imagined this side of her. So candid, so vulnerable. I get that. I mean, I know that feeling too. People think I'm confident, put together, but, inside, it's sometimes chaos. And lonely. She tilted her head, studying him. I like that you admit it. Most people try to hide it. A quiet settled between them, not awkward, but comforting. Alex felt a sense of closeness he hadn't anticipated. He shifted slightly on the sofa, trying to find the right words. Emma. I'm really glad I'm here. With you. Even on the sofa. I like spending time with you, more than I've admitted, maybe even to myself. Her eyes widened slightly, then softened. Alex. I'm glad you're here too. I've always liked having you around. You're, steady, even when things get messy. His heart raced. He wanted to reach out, to brush a strand of hair from her face, but he didn't want to ruin the moment. Instead, he settled for a small smile. They talked for hours. About dreams, regrets, childhood memories, and the awkward turns life had thrown at them. The apartment felt suspended in time, the city outside fading to a soft blur. At one point, Emma laughed softly. "You know, this feels nice. Just us. No chaos, no distractions." "Yeah," Alex agreed. "It's rare, isn't it? Finding someone you can just be with." "Yeah," she said again, quieter this time. Her shoulder brushed his as she leaned back. "I feel that with you, Alex." He froze for a moment, savoring the closeness. "Me too," he admitted. I don't want this night to end." She smiled, and the warmth in her eyes made his heart stutter. "It doesn't have to," she said softly. They leaned back on the sofa together, sharing the blanket Emma had teased him about earlier. The small space forced them closer, but it felt natural, right, inevitable. Alex's hand hovered near hers, but he hesitated, letting the moment breathe. For the first time that night, the awkwardness faded entirely. All that remained was connection, warm, genuine, and a little electric. Alex realized something important. It wasn't the room, the sofa, or the chaos that mattered. It was these shared moments, the quiet laughter, the honesty, the way they could just exist together without pretenses. And in that small apartment, on a lumpy sofa, Alex knew that something beautiful was beginning. The night had settled into a quiet rhythm. The city's distant hum outside was soft, the lights of the apartment casting a warm cocoon over the living room. Alex lay on the sofa, wrapped in the blanket Emma had generously shared, while Emma perched on the armrest, her mug of tea steaming in her hands. "Are you comfortable?" she asked, one eyebrow raised. "Perfectly," he said quickly, though his heart betrayed him with a frantic thump. "Absolutely perfect." Emma smirked knowingly. "Uh-huh. Sure you are." She leaned over slightly, brushing her fingers against his arm as she reached for the remote. Alex flinched, just a little. But tried to play it cool. "You're twitching," she teased, grinning. "Relax, Alex. It's just me." I am relaxed," he said, attempting a casual tone, but his voice cracked slightly. She laughed, that soft, melodic laugh that always made him forget how to breathe. "Right, relaxed." The movie played, though neither of them really watched it. Alex found himself stealing glances at Emma, noticing the gentle curve of her smile, the way her hair fell over her eyes when she laughed at something on screen. Every small gesture sent sparks through him, and he had to remind himself to breathe. "Here," Emma said suddenly, draping part of the blanket over his legs. "You're shivering." Alex froze, not because of the cold, but because of the intimate gesture. Thanks," he muttered, suddenly aware of how close they were. "You know," she said, leaning against the armrest closer to him, "the sofa isn't that bad when someone's willing to share a blanket." He swallowed hard. "Yeah, sharing is good," he said, trying to keep his tone casual, though every word felt loaded. There was a quiet pause. Alex's hand brushed against hers by accident as he adjusted the blanket. He froze mid-movement, heart racing. Emma's eyes softened. "You're tense," she said gently. "Do you want to?" "I don't know, relax?" "Relax, yes, he stumbled over his words, wishing for a pause button. She chuckled, reaching over to lightly bump his shoulder. "I'm just teasing, you know. But, it's okay. You can let your guard down." Alex finally exhaled, letting a little of his nervous energy melt away. "It's hard sometimes," he admitted, almost whispering. "Being near you. I don't want to mess this up." "You're not messing it up," she said softly, leaning a little closer. "I like this. I like you, like this." His chest tightened. He wanted to reach for her hand, to close the tiny gap between them, but he hesitated, savoring the moment. There was an electric tension in the air, but it wasn't rushed. It was teasing, playful, and deeply intimate all at once. A sudden yawn from Emma broke the intensity, making both of them laugh. "I should probably get to bed," she said, though she didn't move away. I can stay awake," Alex said, heart pounding. I like this." "You like this?" she asked, smirking, teasing. "The sofa? Me? Both?" "Both," he admitted, sheepishly. She laughed softly and nudged him gently. "Good. Me too." They settled into a quiet, comfortable proximity. The sofa, small and lumpy though it was, became a little haven for them. Shoulder to shoulder, sharing warmth under the blanket, they talked in whispers about silly things, random memories, and dreams they hadn't shared with anyone else. For Alex, the sofa had never felt so significant. It wasn't just a piece of furniture, it was the bridge between friendship and something more, between laughter and vulnerability, between nervousness and the possibility of love. As he finally closed his eyes, the sounds of Emma's quiet breathing nearby, he realized he wasn't just surviving this awkward night, he was cherishing it. Somewhere between the warmth of the blanket and the closeness of her presence, Alex knew that the sofa was no longer just a sofa. It was the beginning of something entirely unexpected, and entirely wonderful. The first light of morning crept through the curtains, painting Emma's apartment in soft gold. Birds chirped faintly outside, and the city's distant hum had already started stirring. Alex stirred on the sofa, blinking against the sunlight, realizing that he had actually slept. Though not very well, thanks to the sofa's less-than-perfect cushioning. He rubbed his eyes and glanced toward the bedroom. The door was closed, but he could hear the faint sound of movement inside. Emma was awake. He stretched, careful not to knock anything over, and reached for the mug of water he had left on the side table. As he sipped, the events of the previous night replayed in his mind, the laughter, the teasing, the touches, the warmth. He felt a smile creep across his face. Emma emerged a few minutes later, looking like she had just woken up, hair slightly tousled, oversized hoodie slipping off one shoulder, eyes bright but sleepy. She paused when she saw him. "Morning," she said softly, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. "Morning," Alex replied, trying to sound casual, but his heart was doing somersaults. Coffee?" Emma nodded. "Yeah. I'll make some. How's the, sofa?" She tilted her head, teasing lightly. Alex laughed. "Surprisingly, tolerable. But I might need a full bed next time." "Noted," she said with a playful smirk, heading into the kitchen. The smell of brewing coffee soon filled the apartment. Alex followed, feeling strangely at ease, despite the lingering nervousness in his chest. Emma moved around the kitchen gracefully, flipping a pancake here, stirring the coffee there. He watched her, trying not to stare too obviously, but it was impossible. "You're quiet this morning," Emma said, breaking the comfortable silence. "Thinking about the sofa?" Alex grinned. "Partially. But mostly, last night. I mean, talking to you. Laughing. Sharing stuff." He waved vaguely, unsure how to phrase the overwhelming jumble of emotions. Emma leaned against the counter, arms crossed, smiling. "I felt that too. It's nice, isn't it? Just us." "It's more than nice," he admitted. The words slipped out before he could stop them. "It's really special." Her eyes softened, and she tilted her head toward him. "I was hoping you'd say that." They shared a quiet moment, the kind where words weren't necessary, just presence. Alex realized that the sofa, the awkwardness, the chaos, it had all led to this genuine connection. Emma handed him a mug of coffee, and their fingers brushed slightly. Alex didn't pull away. Instead, he let the touch linger, feeling the warmth spread through him. "You know," she said, playful but sincere, "I'm glad you stayed. Even on the sofa." "I'm glad too," he said, meeting her gaze. "I didn't think I'd enjoy this as much as I did. Being here, with you. Feels right." Emma's smile widened. "It does. I like you, Alex. More than just a friend." Alex's chest tightened, and a huge grin spread across his face. "I like you too, Emma. More than I probably should admit, but yeah. Definitely more than a friend." For a moment, they just stood there, holding coffee mugs, smiling at each other like teenagers. The awkwardness of the night before had vanished, replaced by something tender, exciting, and promising. Emma tilted her head, playful again. "So, about that sofa." Alex laughed. "Sofa is officially upgraded. It's no longer just a couch, it's the place where things started." She nudged him gently. "Good. Just remember that the next time you complain about sleeping arrangements." He grinned, heart soaring. "Trust me. I won't complain. Not about anything, if it means being here with you." And in the soft morning light, with the city slowly waking around them, Alex realized one undeniable truth: sometimes, the most unexpected nights, the ones that start with awkward sofas and teasing smiles, could turn into the beginning of something truly unforgettable. By late morning, the small apartment was filled with the aroma of pancakes and fresh coffee. Alex and Emma were seated at the tiny dining table, laughing over a small breakfast mishap. Alex had attempted to flip a pancake and ended up with half of it on the floor. "Seriously?" Emma laughed, holding back giggles. "Are you trying to cook or reenact a slapstick comedy?" "I'm multitasking," Alex replied, cheeks red. "I meant to do both, cook and entertain." Emma shook her head, smiling fondly. "You succeed at entertaining, I'll give you that." The moment felt light and playful, but beneath it was an undeniable tension, one that neither of them had fully addressed yet. Alex had been meaning to speak up all morning but kept getting distracted by her laughter, the way she brushed crumbs off the table, and the occasional accidental brush of her fingers against his. Finally, he took a deep breath, setting down his coffee. "Emma, there's something I've been meaning to say." She looked up, curious. "Oh? What's that?" Alex leaned forward, heart racing. "Last night, this morning, being here with you, I realized something. I like you. More than a little. More than just as a friend. And I think I've liked you for a while, but I didn't want to say anything and ruin what we have." Emma blinked, her expression softening. Then, a mischievous smile appeared. "Alex, I like you too. Way more than a little. And honestly, I've been hoping you'd say that." Alex's chest felt like it might explode from happiness. "Really?" he asked, a grin spreading across his face. "Really," she said, leaning across the table. "And, you know, maybe the sofa thing wasn't so bad after all." Before he could respond, a sudden crash interrupted them. The cat, which Emma had adopted recently, had knocked over a vase from the windowsill. Water spilled across the floor, and Alex jumped up instinctively to grab a towel. Emma laughed so hard she almost fell off her chair. "See? Chaos follows you everywhere." Alex shook his head, laughing along, but when he turned back to Emma, she was looking at him with eyes full of warmth and something deeper, something that made his heart skip a beat. "Alex," she said softly, stepping closer, "despite the chaos, despite the spills, and the sofa, I wouldn't change any of it. I like you. I really like you." Alex felt his nervousness melt away completely. He closed the distance between them, taking her hand in his. "I like you too, Emma. More than I can even say." There was a pause, the kind of pause that stretches and stretches until the world feels like it's holding its breath. And then, laughing at the absurdity of their chaotic morning, they leaned in, just close enough that their foreheads touched. "I guess, this is our first official moment?" Alex asked, grinning despite the nerves fluttering in his stomach. "Official moment?" Emma repeated, mock serious. He nodded. "Our first official, confession, thing. Sofa included." Emma laughed, a warm, happy sound that made Alex's chest feel full. "Sofa included," she agreed, squeezing his hand. It wasn't perfect. There was spilled water nearby, crumbs on the floor, and a slightly chaotic cat roaming freely, but none of that mattered. Alex realized that the imperfections, the mess, the laughter, they made this moment theirs. And in that small, slightly messy apartment, with sunlight streaming through the curtains and the hum of the city outside, Alex and Emma shared their first real, undeniable moment, awkward, funny, and utterly heartwarming. As they finally leaned back, hands still intertwined, Alex thought to himself, sometimes the sofa, the chaos, and the spilled pancakes are exactly what love needs to start. The afternoon sun bathed Emma's apartment in a warm glow. The chaos of the morning. The spilled pancakes, the knocked-over vase, the wandering cat, had been cleaned up, leaving only a few reminders of their shared, imperfect moments. Alex and Emma sat side by side on the sofa, sipping the last of their coffee, the blanket still draped across both of them. "So, the weekend," Alex began, a teasing grin on his face. "I survived the sofa, the chaos, the kitchen disasters, and somehow, I ended up here. With you." Emma laughed softly, nudging him playfully. "And yet, somehow, you didn't run for the hills." "I thought about it," Alex admitted, grinning. "But, honestly, I'm glad I stayed. I've never had a weekend like this." Emma's gaze softened. "Neither have I. You make everything more fun, Alex. Even when you're tripping over a rug or flipping pancakes like a disaster movie." Alex chuckled. "I'll take that as a compliment." She nudged him again, laughing. "You should." There was a comfortable silence, punctuated by the faint sounds of the city outside, the distant honking, the occasional chatter of neighbors, the soft breeze through the slightly open window. Alex felt a warmth in his chest that had nothing to do with the blanket. "So," Emma said, playful but serious, "what happens now?" Alex looked at her, heart pounding in a good way. "Now, we see where this goes. Maybe more weekends. Maybe, more sofa adventures." Emma laughed. "Sofa adventures? Sounds promising." He grinned, squeezing her hand. "I promise I'll make it more fun next time. And I promise I won't steal all the blanket again," she said, smirking. Alex laughed. "Deal." They leaned back against the sofa, comfortable and content, the city buzzing around them but somehow feeling like it had paused just for this moment. Alex realized that life wasn't always perfect, there would be chaos, awkwardness, spills, and laughter. But it could also be beautiful, especially when shared with someone who made your heart feel lighter. Emma rested her head on his shoulder, and Alex wrapped an arm around her. "You know," she said softly, "I think this is the beginning of something really good." "I think so too," Alex whispered. "Something unforgettable." They stayed like that for a while, letting the quiet intimacy settle around them, the sofa now a symbol of the night they had shared, the laughter, the awkward moments, and the start of a new chapter. As Alex finally allowed himself to relax completely, he smiled to himself. Sometimes, the most unexpected beginnings, the awkward sofa, the spilled pancakes, the messy chaos, led to the most extraordinary moments. And he couldn't wait to see where it would all go next. Because with Emma by his side, even a simple sofa could feel like the perfect place to fall in love.